Hi, it's the Tiny One / Bishie, and this is day 9 of Vlogmas. Not wearing my robe right now because I am a bit warm. This hat's just making me warmer. That's fun. But my roommate and I were doing some cleaning. We've been doing some kind of serious cleaning now that it's just us, and there's like, for a while we've been getting tired of stuff that had accumulated at our house, and it needed to go. So tonight, I took care of the stuff in the bathroom that needed to be tossed, and that we went through a couple of the cabinets in the kitchen, and it's already looking nice. But I'm very tired, and I want to at least, do a vlog, even though it's very late for me, before I went to bed, because again, I have another 2 to 11 schedule. So let's see what tea we have today. Also, remember, this is recorded on the 10th. So I'm still behind, but I plan, there's 9. I do plan on catching up after work later today or tomorrow on the 11th, because I don't have to go until 6:30 then. Tummy tea. I remember tummy tea. See my hands straining for the tummy tea. Okay. A little something yummy for your tummy. Here's a wonderful minty after dinner treat with a sumptuously smooth and sweet aftertaste that will linger well into the evening. Okay. I don't remember if this is one that I didn't like or not. Contains peppermint, licorice root, fennel, marigold petals. And remember, it contains licorice, so if you're allergic to licorice, this might be one to skip. I think that's 3 teas in a row that have had stuff that if you're allergic to or sensitive to, it'd probably be best to skip it. Anyways, let's brew this tea, and when I come back, maybe I'll have thought of a subject or have a question to answer. Okay, first off, and I'm only doing this because I forgot about it before, I want to say hi and thank the 2 new subscribers that I have. This channel isn't that big, but I do appreciate every single one of you, and I'm sure once I get even bigger, I will still appreciate each and every one of you. It would be awesome at the end of Vlogmas if we get to 50 subscribers, but it's either, okay, how about this? Our current goal is to get to 50 subscribers either by the end of Vlogmas or on New Year's Eve. That shouldn't be that hard, right? 8 new people. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so get to my excuse me, my tea, and again, I put sugar in it like normal. I shouldn't say like normal, but put sugar in it to help sweeten it. And got my little dopey cup. And what I put for last year is, this was a tea I thought I wouldn't like because it has licorice in it, but I was pleasantly surprised. It's like an after dinner mint, but in tea form, and it's not harsh on the stomach. The flavors are actually mild, and strangely enough, you feel refreshed drinking it. I would buy this tea if given the chance. And then, of course, I forgot all about it, but now I get to enjoy it again. And hopefully, maybe I can pick some up at T2. So, today I thought I would talk about, I'm combining two different things, and they would be here. Let me go to my list of topics I had for Vlogmas. One of them is my very first video game console, and then one of my very first video game consoles that I played on. Now, back when my cousin and I were younger, we actually, my dad and my uncle they decided on getting my cousin and I, and for my uncle, he had several children, so it was his youngest son. For my dad, it was just me, so they decided to get us the same toys for Christmas. And the big thing that one of our first video game systems was actually the Atari. It's very, very pixelated, and it was, back then, it was the coolest thing that we could ever got. The other thing, and I remembered it and remembered it. Actually, here, let me find what the, okay. Okay, let's go on the Wikipedia. Okay. So, according to the wiki, Atari is a brand name owned by several entities since its inception in 1972. Currently by Atari Interactive, a subsidiary of the firm blah blah blah. It was founded in Sunnyvale, California, and my cousin and I believe we got I'm trying to see what version. I think we got the third version of it. And the third version was basically like a brown, it looked like a wooden box. And like, God, how big was it? I think it was the size of like, maybe a PS4, I think. But it was a bit clunkier, and then it had a square it had a square controller, and then it had like a joystick that popped right up, like a stick shift or a gear control on your car. And of course, you plugged in the back. You plugged the controller in. There was no wireless controller. And like I said, the games were very pixelated. It was very basic. Like, if you've ever seen what Pong is, that's pretty much how basic these games were. But back then, it was just so advanced and so magical. And they had games like Space Invaders and all that. They had one game that I played, that I got and I played, called E.T. It was the funniest game. Basically, you had Pong on Atari. It's one of the first games that my cousin and I played. Let's see if I can find games. Atari games. Sorry. So yeah, it had, Atari is where the game Pac-Man originated from. Galaga, Asteroids, Centipede, Super Mario Brothers. The original Super Mario Brothers was, because I'm looking at the list of games on top, and it originated from Atari. Donkey Kong, and then it was taken over from Nintendo later on. I said Pong, and then of course we get games like Moon Patrol, Joust, Q*bert, Doom, Lunar Lander, just these funny games, and Paperboy, get Miss Pac-Man later on, one of the first female main characters. And then it just went on and on and on with Nintendo. And oh yeah, we get Donkey Kong Jr. I remember that, where Donkey Kong had to save its baby. In the original, the original Donkey Kong, you were Mario, and you had to get up to the top and defeat Donkey Kong, who would throw barrels at you and try to smash you with the barrels. It was a mess. It was funny. Now, the other console that my cousin had, I didn't have it, my cousin had, was a console called Vectrex. And it's Vectrex. And Vectrex was, according to the wiki, it was a vector display based home video game console that was developed by Smith Engineering. And it was first released in North America in 1982. So yeah, pretty old. And from 82 to 83, its manufacturer was General Consumer Electronics. And then from 83 to 84, it became Milton Bradley manufacturer. So it was basically like this tall, how do I describe this? It was like a box, let's see, it's like this, and then long, and then down like this, and then it had like a little opening at the bottom where you had the vents, because all video game systems have vents to warm up, and then you had the little area on the side to plug in the controls, and then you had a controller that looks like, God, if you remember or you Google the original Nintendo controller, that's basically what it looks like, except it was thicker, and you had, I'm looking at the screen, you had 4 buttons right here, and then you had this little tiny joystick that you moved around, and then you hit the buttons, kind of like when you go to a video arcade. And I don't remember if he had any other games on there, but I know he had like a Space Invaders type game where you had the little invaders in like rows, and then you had your little ship down here, and then you shoot up and you destroy the invaders before because they would slowly move down, and if they moved down to a certain spot, they would kill you. And sometimes they had like little dive bombers that would try to destroy your ship, and it was an interesting game. But the thing is, the screen, it kind of like was in the box, so you almost had to like stick your head almost completely in the little screen area to see what was going on and play the game. Because that's another thing, there were lighting issues with these first games, because they didn't have this like alternate lighting or anything. That's why you probably see funny pictures with like the old Game Boy and Game Boy Color, you see the little device that they actually made a Game Boy Light. You plug it in. You couldn't charge it because you had to plug in this light, and the light illuminated your screen so you could play it. Otherwise, if you were playing in the dark from like a road trip or something, you'd be like this, trying to get the light from like street lamps as you drove under them to like play your game. So yeah, nowadays everything has a little lights inside the device that illuminates the screen. You don't have to worry about an outside source lighting it or anything. So yeah, very old games that you probably never heard of before. But yeah, that was my first exposure to video games, the Vectrex and the Atari. And from Atari, I then moved to Sega. I had the Sega Master System. I didn't get the Sega Genesis. My cousin actually did. And so I would go over to his house and play the Sega Genesis with him. You know, a lot of times we played like Altered Beast, and we just become the beasts and trying to fight each other. And of course, you know, we had other games, but yeah, that was my little dip into video games. I didn't get into Nintendo until later in my adult life. So like games like Super Mario Brothers and all that are a little bit foreign to me. So they'll be interesting. Because I do want to play those type of games, like the old type of games, because a lot of these are being remastered and they're being re-released on like discs that have like multiple games on them, and I want to play them. Maybe I'll play them on, you know, for a video to show how I react to these old games. I'm not sure, but anyways, that's all for now. I've had this tab up for the longest time, and I can finally take it out. But I only had it up because I wanted to remember the name, and I want to remember to do this title. Otherwise, I'd forget, because that's how I am. So anyways, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe, stay happy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.